Hello friends, today I will discuss the Vsepr theory. What is Vsepr? Firstly, I introduce any student in mind that simple and clear question. Why, what, कब, क्यों और कैसे. Whisper theory. I think why need to whisper theory? Because whisper theory introduce the geometry of organic compounds and inorganic compounds. It is important in the inorganic chapter. Then I start the whisper theory. Many of students don't learn the whisper is full form. Whisper means valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. It means this name is according to totally define the definition. मतलब valence shell electron pair repulsion theory. It means it deciding to individual electrons are shape the central atom is totally dependent. First law of then discover is the 1940 sandwich and pole, but many of students cannot define as what is and what form. I will introduce 1940 sandwich and pole are introduced in the simple rule and structures, but in 1957 Gilchrist and Nyhobs introduced the some important rules, and that will discussion in the whisper theory. This theory was proposed by Sandwich and Pole in 1940 and developed by the Gilchrist and Nyhobs. इन लोगों ने 1957 के अंदर इस थ्योरी को डेवलप किया. This theory is very useful for the prediction of the geometry of individual molecules from a number of electrons surrounding their central atom. It means जो इलेक्ट्रॉन्स ज्योमेट्री पे डिपेंड करते हैं वो आपको बताया ही है. The electrons pair used in the formation of covalent bond pair is the BPS bond pair, and which is not used for bond is called the lone pair. Some electrons are formation the bond, then it means bond pair, and some electrons are not participate in the bonding, it is the lone pair. Collapse the purpose for the explain of molecules and ions. It gives the seven rules. All rules are very important, but it is very easy. When the central atom of molecule is surrounding only bond pair, not by the lone pair, and shape of formation will be the regular. It means bond angle is 180. Light BeCl2, HgCl2, BeF2, and it is all are 180 degree angle. And second rule, when the central atom in the molecule is surrounded by the both bond pair and lone pair, the molecule does not have the regular geometry. In lone pair of electron and repel ejection pair is more strongly than do the bonding electron pair and the repulsion in the following order. It means the bond pair and lone pair bothly introduced in second rule. In first rule, not introduce the lone pair, only introduce the bond pair. In this, the bond pair is strongly repulsion, and lone pair lone pair and bond pair repulsion, more repulsion. It means that the BF3 या NH3 In the bond pair and lone pair repulsion, NS3 is one lone pair, then hydrogen and hydrogen 107-degree angle. And then I goes to third rule. The bond angle decrease as the number of lone pair of electron on the central atom increase. For example, I think bond angle decrease, then lone pair is increase. For example, CH4 lone not present in the lone pair, then angle is 109.5, and NH3 one lone pair are present, then 107.3, and H2O two and lone pair are present, then 104.5. It means the lone pair increase, then angle of bond is decrease. Then I goes to fourth rule. The smaller of electronegativity of the central atom, the smaller is the bond angle. This is due to the fact that the position of bond pairs features from the central atom, and therefore is repulsion force of bond pair on the lone pair of the central atom decrease, which decrease the bond angle. It means that electronegativity central atom is smaller, then bond angle is also smaller. It means that repulsion force bond pair and lone pair central atom decrease the angle of bond pair. It means, for example, then seen Pi3 102 and PBr3 101.5 and PCl is it totally depend upon the electronegativity of secondary electrons, iodine, bromine and chlorine. The electronegativity increase, then bond angle is increased, and electronegativity decrease, then bond angle is also decreased. Then I goes to rule of 5. The repulsion of bond pair decrease with increase the electronegativity. Bond pair decrease with the increase the electronegativity of the atom B in ABX molecules, and hence the bond angle is decreased. It totally matches that the fourth rule, ASI3, ASBR3 and ASCl3. The electronegativity decrease, then bond angle is also decrease. And I goes to sixth rule. Bond angle is involved multiple bonding are generally larger than those involve only the single bond. How the multiple bond does not affect the geometry of molecules. And rule number 7. The repulsion between the electron pair in the filled shell is greater than that in the incomplete shell. For example, the bond angle decrease. H2O, H2S, H2SC or H2TE. In that, the repulsion between the electron pair and greater and incomplete shell, then bond angle is decreased. Then I goes the some limitations in the rules. First of all, the limitations of theory. The Vsepr theory does not explain the shape of formation have very polar bonds. For example, Li2 have same structure to SO2, but it is not a linear. This theory does not explain the shape of molecules which have extensive pi electron system. And Vsepr theory fails to explain the shape of central transition element complex. This theory fails as prediction adapt some bond angle in molecules like CH3 and H2O. This theory failed for the isoelectric shape. Hello friends, Vsepr theory totally based and a simple and irregular structures. It is a main limitation like as AB2, then AB2 is 180 degree angle and always 180 degree angle, then cannot define as why the Li2 or H2O is same structure, because single has H2O is a bent structure but it is a linear, and AB3 is 120 degree angle, but in some conditions it angle is increase and decrease. And AB2 and E like as this structure, in this structure cannot define why E electrons are up and axial position, why not BE, then it is a mainly limitations. And AB4 is namely this structure, but in some condition AB4 like other shape of, because electrons some but cannot define in the Vsepr theory. And AB3E, and why cannot explain why E is upper condition, and in this theory cannot explain. And AB2 and E2, in this condition the both E and E axial and equilateral cannot define as why be in the last and lower position. Thank you friends. Then in this theory some limitation, then introduce the bend rule, and I will explain in next class the bend rule.